Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, readers of all persuasions. I'm back. It's Gayla from Books Uncorked and Caffeinated, here for Bookmas Day 18. Bookmas Day 18. And so I'm going to do more today of my story graph. The statistics on the story graph. So I did a video a couple of weeks back about the difference between story graph and Goodreads, and if I was going to use both or continue with Goodreads or add story graph. I'm probably going to add story graph. And the reason why I'm going to add it is because of what I'm doing tonight, the stats that I'm going to give you tonight. It gives you pretty much everything that you've read, and I think that's super awesome. And so we're going to just talk about my reading stats using Storygraph. Even though the year is not ended, I'll probably do it again like January 1st just to analyze like all of what I read in 2024 because I'm still reading. Like I have another book that I finished today, and I'm probably going to finish my car book tomorrow. So, this is going to change the stats. But for right now, we're going to use what I have on Storygraph now. So originally, my reading goal was 75 books. And I forgot when I had achieved that goal. I have to look back on my post from Instagram because I did post when I achieved my 75 books. But now I'm at 102, and by the end of the night, I will be at 103. But we're going to go on the Storygraph when I'm at now, so which is 102 books. Like I said the other day, it's 136%. And I'm 27 books over my reading goal. Okay, I've read out of those 102 books, is 23,345 pages. I think that is super awesome. And when you hear that number initially, you're not thinking I'm going to consume all that information, but obviously I have. The average time to finish my books is 10 days, which seems fair. Some books, are longer than others, but I guess that's the average time for me to read books. And then there's a multitude of moods in books. They go from emotional, mystery, dark, informative, relaxing. So I'm going to click on each one. So for the emotional ones, I read 55 books that have to deal with emotions. And as I'm looking at the books that they name that are considered emotional books, these are all my urban erotica books. I guess you will be in your feelings reading urban erotica. I'm just saying. Then the next one, I read 44 books that's considered lighthearted. And some of those books still included the coochie books, as Shelby Book Club will say, but some other books were in there as well. Then mystery, I read 18 books, which is a lot of the Frida McFadden books and the Geneva Rose books. Dark, or I would say funny is next. I read 17 funny books. I think that's super cool. I didn't think I read like a ha-ha book. Then I had Dark, and I think that's 17. So that includes like Babel, a couple of Frida McFadden books as well. Then I had Hopeful, 15 books. Hopeful was 15 books. Most of the Christmas books run under the Hopeful, which is interesting. Then what was the purple? This is Tense. The mood was Tense, 14 books. And the book that popped up that I know that I was super tense with is When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole. I had said in one of my videos that book triggered me because it's about gentrification in Brooklyn and how that looks. And I have a house in Brooklyn, so I was like, yeah, it made me angry. The next move was reflective, and I read 10 books in the reflective book, so a lot of like, kind of like, what you will call it, memoirs were in this, autobiographies was in that section. Then it's getting smaller now, so hopefully I can point it with my finger. So Adventurous, 8 books, which is mostly the coochie books. Challenging was 5 books. So in that was Maya Angelou, Sapphire Sinclair, How to Say Babylon, and Babel, which makes sense. And I hope my finger can touch the other ones. Emotional. Oh, I did that already. So I think my fingers are getting too big to touch it. Yeah, after challenging, it's real small, and so you really can't see it. So those were the moods, and those were the books I read. So the pace, I had 49% at fast pace, slow pace 6%, and medium 45%. I guess that's based on people saying what their pace was, because I don't recall doing that. So I don't know, or based on what the book is to be. Page number, so 1% of my books was 500 plus pages. 36% of my books were between 300 and 499 pages. And 63% of my books were less than 300 pages. And that's probably why I got through as many books as I could. Nonfiction wasn't really on it this year with the nonfiction. Maybe I'll change that for next year. I have some ideas of what I want to read, so it's probably going to change. So nonfiction was only 3% this year, and so 97 was fiction books. Genres, I read all of the genres on here, but the top 3 is romance, contemporary, and thriller. So, like I said in my other video, I read like 24 like books of romance between like 3 authors, so I can only imagine. And so on this, it says I read almost 75 romance books. Then the next one is contemporary, and then thriller, which is probably where most of my Freedom and Fatten books came. And then the format, so print 40%, 48% digital, and 12% audio. Okay, and they said 2 of my books didn't have a format, so I don't know what that's about. Then most read authors, I told you that the other day, Sherelle Green, Alexandria House, and Christina C. Jones. And then we have like Asia, Danielle Allen, Freedom and Fatten, Danya Marie, Kennedy Ryan, Geneva Rose, and Lori Gilmore. All of my books are read in English. That's the only language I know. Like I said, the number of books is 102, 23,345 pages. Average star reading is a 4.06. I had quite a few 5 stars. Maybe I'll do a video on my 5 stars. And so, yes, those are my stats from Storygraph. So I'm really happy with Storygraph since it gives you all of that. So I probably, because I've started with Goodreads and that's just my to-go, I'm probably going to still do both. But I'm definitely going to incorporate next year doing Storygraph from the beginning, because what I actually did was I used Goodreads to create my Storygraph. So it took a couple of days to do it because I read 102 books, so I was able to do all of the things. But yeah, I'm loving keeping up with what I'm reading. This is new for me, keeping like such a specific stats of what I'm reading. I just read to read, and sometimes I reread books because I read them so quickly. I'm like, what is that? Like I started to read another book. It was a Christmas book. I actually bought it this year, but I read it like the end of last year. It was so funny. So I have probably a few books I'm going to put in like a little library. I've been seeing them more lately, maybe because I'm paying more attention. But otherwise than that, this is Bookmas. Day 18, I'm doing all the bookish things. I'm thinking about what I want to do in the new year, getting used to this platform, getting used to you, thanking you for doing all the things, sharing, liking, subscribing, all the good things for Book Uncorked and Caffeinated. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.